Here we are.
What's going on, man?
Well,
long time no see.
It is one of those things where I'm trying to figure all this mess out again. It's this is all new again.
Dude, it's been forever.
Has been forever. I didn't even know if my computer would turn on. Yeah. Well, thank you for joining us. We got people jumping on here already. Make sure that you come on and put something in the comments to let us know here. And we are back after a 2-3 month hiatus. We're back. We did our last show in May, June, July, almost. Well, is tomorrow September? It's this week sometime.
It's this weekend, yeah.
But anyway, you're watching the Overland Podcast with Professor Bats and Friends. Thank you for joining us. Here we go. Thank you for joining us on the Overland Podcast, brought to you by Professor Bats and Friends. We love to talk about it all. The gear we like to use, the places we like to go, and the things we like to do. Sometimes we'll have guests. Sometimes it'll be just us. You never know what you might get. But you always have Bats Off-Road and the Professor. Thank you for joining us. No pros, just bros on this show. Here we go.
You cracking me up,
dude. Just bros on this show. It has been a long time since we have done this. And we were asked today if we were doing a live show, and yeah, that's how we've always done it. What happens, happens. We're going to try not to say anything we shouldn't and do anything that will be embarrassing to our wives, but you never know. That's just the way it goes. So anyway, thank you for being on here. It has been a pretty long time since we have been on here. I don't even remember the last time.
Yeah. I think it was the end of May. And we talked about what we had coming up, and you're getting married or something.
Oh my gosh. That kind of threw the monkey wrench and everything.
Yeah.
So anyway, thank you, Arla, about the new intro. I worked on that a little bit, try to make it a little more personable. It's not professional by any means, but I thought it was funny. So
it's funny. Cracks me up, man.
Yeah. New show. No, it's not a new show. Thank you, Gian, my wife. Thank you for being on here. Thank you for being on here. Experiencing Arkansas. We camped with them a little bit this summer when it was hot, balls hot. But anyway, it was fun. So what you been up to? Tell me. I've seen you. Man, what you been up to?
Well, just I don't know, hanging out here at the house. I've been kind of doing some projects here at home and doing some stuff, and looking for a little change in career, and looking for a little work on the side and stuff like that. But
well, I know since the last time, I think it was the last time that we talked, you changed your trailer up a little bit. We changed the awnings up a little bit, and you got a new tent. Over there at Okie Overland, you went over there and put on a new, is it a 23-0, what is it?
Armadillo.
Yeah.
A3. Yeah.
An A3. That thing is massive.
It is.
It's so massive. Big.
It's so comfortable too with those air mattresses.
Yeah, and you kind of had a little bit of an issue with your 270 awning, so you went with the 180.
Yeah.
And it looks like it works really well. You went to something over there at Okie Overland and stayed in it and rode out a mega storm of some kind, and seemed like it went pretty well.
Yeah. We went to their. They had a swap meet.
Okay. Yeah.
They had a swap meet, and so we camped at the shop on Friday night, and storm came in and just blew like crazy and rained and carried on. Looked like a tornado was coming, but it was nuts there for a while. And
From
Saturday
what I
night we
saw.
ran up to Goose Island with them camp.
Okay.
So, yeah.
Well, that looked pretty good. That looked pretty
Yeah.
cool. Well, my summer has been just absolutely nuts. It has been one day after another, one adventure after another, and it's been pretty cool. So, if you've been wondering what we've been doing, that's kind of what we're going to share this week or tonight. I know that I've been sharing on my social media a little bit about where we've been going and things, and you've had some new things that have popped up along the way too that we want to share. So anyway, it's been pretty fun. It's been pretty fun. Misty with Lady Overlander Radio, she's been putting the miles on her four
Good
wheeler and
grief.
Joe's
She
Jeep. She's been
everywhere.
all over the
All,
place.
yeah. Exposed.
Experiencing Arkansas went out west. They had some beautiful shots out there.
Mm-hmm.
So it's been cool seeing what everybody's been doing this summer. But we put the miles on too, and it was really pretty funny.
Yeah.
Pretty fun.
Did you see what Okie Overland did to Gen Xer's Gladiator last week?
What did they do to it? Did they put a lift on it?
They put a lift on it.
Yeah.
Yes.
That's awesome.
Yes.
Yeah, I saw the post, and
Yeah.
they talked about how nice they are, what good people they are, and we know that
Yeah.
for sure. We've camped with them,
Yeah.
and they're pretty regulars on our show. We're glad that they're here.
Yeah.
That's awesome, man. That's going to make their adventures a lot more where they can get out there, go a little bit more places. So that's cool.
Yep. Yep.
But man, gosh, where do we even start? Take it all the way back to spring break. We were on the Go Explore USA trip down in the Ouachitas, and I proposed to my fiance there, Gia, and shocked the pants off of her. I told you, and I told Brad, and I told Danielle what was about to happen, so y'all could get the cameras out so we could have a bit of a video of it. We were out there at Petit Jean, and there I got down on one knee, and it was pretty fun. It was pretty fun watching her, the look on her face, and it's been one adventure after another since then. So, just going through the whole thing of her moving from Northwest Arkansas down to Central Arkansas, her giving up her job teaching high school at Bentonville West up there and getting a job down here in Conway where I live, moving in with me, doing all the moving, trying to get the house situated in the midst of all that has created a very busy summer. But it really didn't slow us down. Everything that we had planned to do, we went through with. And so, the very first thing right after school was out, she took PJ, our little French bulldog, and her niece and nephew and her mom, and they went up to South Haven, Michigan, spent the week up there. And I went on a motorcycle trip up in Missouri to the Ozarks. And every year I do that. My former chief, my former sergeant, and my sergeant's cousin, we call ourselves the Mild Hogs because we're old and slow. We don't cause any trouble. But we went out to the Ozarks up there in Missouri and just had a blast. I don't know if you have ran some of the back highways in southern Missouri, but it is just gorgeous. It's beautiful.
Yeah.
And, we saw all kinds of stuff and had a great time doing that. We rented us a little Airbnb up there, had a great view of Lake Taneycomo, and got to do a lot of things. So, Michael Hyden's on here. Now, if anybody had a change, it's Michael moving to Alaska.
That's no kidding.
He's been posting some pretty cool stuff up there, Michael. We love seeing the pictures.
Yeah, buddy.
It's pretty cool. Yeah. Yep. Lady Overland Radio says, we love Gia and PJ. And, we call ourselves the Mild Hogs. That's who we are. But, every year we go to a different place. We've been around Lake Michigan. We've been to Sturgis. We've been to the Dragon in Tennessee. And
I don't know where else we've been, but this was like our fourth or fifth year to do that, and it's pretty fun. We had a great time doing that. As soon as I got back from that, we had a week. We spent a week in Northwest Arkansas, and then got married on June the 22nd. Now, for our wedding, we had it in Little Flock, which is up there around Rogers, and this was around the time that you actually started a little side gig of yours, and
Yeah.
and you actually did the wedding photos and all that for us. So that was really cool.
Yeah. I really enjoyed that opportunity to be there and share that experience with you guys. But I'd been thinking about this, a photography business or a media business. I've struggled with the, what to call it for a long time, but, it just sort of, it's had the opportunity to kind of start that this summer, and been working on that.
Well, I just got a text message from my wife. Apparently we got married June 23rd. So I said June 22nd. So I've already messed up. I don't know when my anniversary is already. So yeah, June 23rd. I apologize for that. I'll get a tattoo of that on my arm, so I'll remember that. But anyway, June 23rd. That was probably one of the most beautiful wedding venues I've ever seen. It was a beautiful place that they had turned into. That's pretty much what they do there. It was outside. It had a beautiful little chapel. Had so many of our friends come, family come. The guys from Okie Overland come. Jeff from Baddock Adventure Co. came. Amy and Chris came. Quite a few. You and Arla came. Quite a few of the people that we like to hang out with and camp with were there. Overland Spices was there. So yeah, we had quite a few people there. It was so fun to just hang out with everybody and see everybody. And I'm so glad that you were there taking photos. I got, really good memories of that. And man, you did a fantastic job. So Bats Off-Road Media now has a page on Instagram. So go follow that.
Instagram and Facebook. Yeah.
And Facebook as well. So that's,
and if anybody's looking to get married, that's a great place. It's located in Northwest Arkansas. It's Country Manor of Northwest Arkansas.
Yeah, Country Manor. They're in Little Flock.
Yeah.
It was really, really nice. And they had everything. They had a little house for the bride to stay in and a beautiful place for the reception. It was completely covered, and it really wasn't that hot. It was almost 100 degrees outside, but with all the shade, it really was bearable. And I wasn't about to die like I thought we would be in June. So I know Arla, she hates the heat, and she wasn't that bad. So
she really loves you if she comes out here.
That's exactly right. That's exactly right. That's right. But anyway, go follow.
Thank you.
Bats Off-Road Media, and there's Tate Davis right there from. He is on here with
Tate. Hey, buddy.
Overland Spices. Used some of your spices to do my ribs this weekend, Tate. Man, they were incredible. I got to admit, it was really good. So appreciate you on that. He's got a new flavor coming out, I believe. New spice coming out. I don't know what the title of it is or anything like that. So if you've got some insight on that, we'd love to hear about that, Tate, and make a world premiere of it.
Yeah. The only thing I know about it is that it's good.
Of course it is.
I don't know the name or when it's coming out, but
of course it is. But anyway, right after when we got married, we kind of needed a place to go for just a few days because I had a work trip. It was really horrible timing because I was supposed to go to Indianapolis for a work trip. We had a training up there that I had to go to on Wednesday. We got married on Friday. And so we needed a place to go, and Joe and Misty let us stay in their cabin up in Newton County. I had a great time. The weather cooperated. It was nice and cool. It was just so beautiful. And I can't tell them how much I appreciate them letting us stay there. They were off gallivanting around Idaho somewhere, so it's not like we camped out with them. But it was really nice of them to say, hey, here's the key. Go enjoy it. This is our present to you. And that was pretty amazing. So, but Tate says it's a taco fajita blend, calling it taco mas.
Taco
mas. That's cool.
Yes.
So that's kind of like taco tomorrow or taco more.
When's it coming out? When's it coming out, Tate? The people want to know.
Yeah. We got inquiring minds on here. Like Tacomas or more tacos. That's genius. I can't. Man, what goes through that guy's mind? It just blows me away. I just can't get it. Can't understand.
Yeah,
spiders so it's like and Swiffers. Or he's not sure on the ETA yet. Okay, no big deal. I know you've been busy with Okie Overland, so we'll give you a break on that. But staying up there in Newton County was so nice. We got to see some friends. We got to hang out. We got to read a lot of books and do some cooking. You know, it was so nice, and really enjoyed it. Then I had to go to Indianapolis, spend a week in the big city. You know, it's not that bad if you don't have to do it all the time. But you know, big cities, lots of people, not my thing.
Yeah.
But you know, we rented some scooters and went all over Indianapolis. Got to see where, you know, what is it? Lucas Oil Stadium, where Peyton Manning played for so long. We got to see where the Indianapolis Pacers played. I got to have some, what's the little White Castles? Oh my gosh, love White Castle. So it was so good, so good. So we got to do some pretty cool stuff. But we were up there with about 3,000 other school resource officers from around the world. Actually, there was about 17 countries represented, so that was cool. To be there and get some training with all those guys. And I came back. It was so funny because the first place we were going on our honeymoon was around Paducah, Kentucky. And on the way up there, I wasn't driving. One of the other guys was driving. And lo and behold, we came up on a sign that said Paducah, Kentucky, 11 miles. And I said, I'm going to be going right back by here next week as soon as we get back. And so we were taking the exact same route. I just had to come back and get the FJ and then take off in it.
Oh, wow. I didn't know that. Yeah. That's crazy.
I went back the exact same route as we went. So, yeah, that was pretty cool. That was pretty cool. People are all over this Overland Spices now, Tate. Now here you are. You've started something. Yes, Arla, White Castle. I love it.
Arla just got back from Indianapolis Saturday, and she brought back some
that's not
White
funny.
Castles. Yeah,
that's not funny, man. That's not
chicken
funny.
rings. I like the chicken rings. They're pretty good.
Experiencing Arkansas is ready for a Buffalo River Fall camp out. We need to plan that.
Yeah,
that's going to be in the works. We're ready. The first one went so good. Had a lot of people show up and had a great time. Got to do some floating on my first time in a blow up kayak, and that was pretty cool. No, Michael, Whataburger is not better than White Castle. Sorry. Michael said he's got some big changes coming. I know you probably don't want to world premiere that here. We'll probably do that on your own show, but your thoughts or prayers are with you, brother, whatever's going on. So love you, man. But yeah, it was a good time. But man, the fun started. The fun started when we got back from Indianapolis. I was back, spent a day. I got back on Tuesday. Wednesday we packed. And I think we left on Wednesday or Thursday. I can't remember. It wasn't very long.
No, it was the Wednesday after, or it was the day after the 4th.
That's right.
We left
on
July the 5th.
Yeah, July the 5th. Yeah. So right after the 4th, we headed to Paducah. Gia's sister has a farm there. It's called Hike Farms, Hyuck, I believe is how you spell it. But they have a place there in Paducah where they raise pumpkins, watermelons, all kinds of fruits, vegetables. They have apple trees. They have corn mazes in the fall. They do all kinds of stuff like that. They have a store once a week or something like that where they sell all the stuff that they grow. They have flowers and plants, and and different things. And she wanted me to see the farm. So that's where we stayed the first night. On the way up there was a few things that we had forgot. So thank you, Amazon, for delivering things the next day, like you said you would, and getting it there. And when they came in, we took off and headed to Indiana. The first night in Indiana, we stayed with one of the guys in my Mild Hogs group, and timed it just right. It was the night before their anniversary, I think 32 years maybe. We stayed with them, had a good time with them, but we had an extra day before we were going to South Haven, Michigan. Gia's sister was in the house, and we were going to give her some more time to be by herself. So I tell you, it was so awesome for us to have some resources whereby we could find places to stay, because on this trip we did not plan ahead. We did not make reservations anywhere. We just took off and drove, and I looked to figure out where we were going to be, and I got on Hip Camp and found a vineyard somewhere in Indiana. Oh my gosh. And on the way, we got to go to South Bend and see the what's the Notre Dame. We got to go to Notre Dame and see the campus, and we drove. You should have seen everybody looking at my FJ driving through this place. This campus has more money poured into it than any other campus in the United States. It is so wealthy. Every building has stained glass arch windows. I mean, everybody was walking around dressed to the nines, and here we are going in a beat to death FJ right down the center of it. It was great. And people were like, oh my gosh, what are these people? I love getting looks like that. And I know if you've got a rig like mine, you get looks like that too. And I love it when people are staring or looking or taking pictures or something like that. But let me tell you, when we were going down through the middle of Notre Dame campus, we were getting some of the best looks. It was so great. And we drove around and did a couple circles in there, went by the football stadium. We got to see the cathedral. Not a great view of the cathedral because it was getting worked on. It was under construction. But such a beautiful, beautiful place. But from there, we drove about another 100 miles north and stayed in this vineyard. And it was during growing season. So all of the vines were marked on what kind of grapes that they were growing, and every one of them had grapes on there. And we were able to take a hike through all the little pathways. They had a little pathway where you could hike through there, and it was so neat to see all the different kinds of grapes. I don't know anything about wine. I don't drink wine. I don't know how they make it, but I do know different grapes make different wine. And there was so many different kind of grapes, and it was so neat to camp in a place, pop the rooftop tent up, looking out the back window, and we're looking right at nothing but a vineyard. It's just rows and rows and rows of grapes. So cool.
Did you happen to sneak a grape?
We did.
Sneak it?
We did. We snuck a few actually, and they weren't ripe at all. But we picked out a few just to see what they would taste like, and a lot of them were sour because they weren't ripe. But
yeah, I was kind of wondering if if it's like corn, certain types of corn they don't grow for human consumption; it's for cattle feed.
Yeah,
so it doesn't taste right. I just
they weren't ripe. They weren't ripe by any means. But anyway, that was cool. I never camped in a place like that. So that's one good thing. If you have the resource like Hip Camp, all these people have all this different private property that you can stay on. And we utilized that several times on this trip, and it paid off. It paid off.
See, I think that's so neat to just take off and not know where you're going to stay tonight. I mean, kind of have a general idea, but
we had a general idea. That was it. And we kind of had a date in mind of where we wanted to be in each place. But that varied as well. So, yeah, we just took off, no plans. And we tried not to drive too far. We know the most we ever drove in a day was probably 350 miles, maybe 400 miles.
Yeah.
We just didn't want to spend the whole time driving. And so getting to that vineyard was real nice to take a break. And from there, we only had 100 miles to get to South Haven. Gia's family has a house up there. They used to live there. They've got a lot of family there, and so they've kept this house in the family. And several different family members and friends use it throughout the year. And we were able to go there, stay there. We spent one day with her sister going to a farmer's market. I got to try my first pasty there. It wasn't great.
Pasty? I thought that was called pasty.
No, pasties is what the ladies put on their things when they dance.
Isn't it spelled the same?
It's spelled exactly the same.
Okay, all right. Well, my mistake then.
But it's a UP. It's a
UP thing.
It's
Upper
a UP
Peninsula thing.
Yeah, They call them Upers. But yeah, they had this guy selling pasties. He had pre-made them. He had them in a warmer, and it was kind of dry. It wasn't great, but it's a meat pie. It's pretty much like a Hot Pocket. It's just like a Hot Pocket, but has like meat, potatoes. A lot of them have rutabaga in it. It's like one of the only foods that I've ever seen that has rutabaga in it. I don't know why you would have that in it, but that's kind of one of the staples they put in it. But yeah, it was kind of neat. But we also got different things like hot honey. We got fresh peppers and tomatoes and different things like that from the market. So that was really cool. And then we were able to, take different days and walk down to the beach. There's a beach there in South Haven. There's a lighthouse up here that you can walk on. A really nice downtown where you got little shops and things. And then, you go up into town and there's, we were able to take a bike ride down to a state park. Beaches everywhere there. That was really neat.
But you didn't get to do any fishing here there, right?
We didn't do any fishing there. No.
Yeah. Okay.
No, we didn't do any fishing. Oh, and back down in Indiana, I forgot to say, we went down to the Indiana Dunes State Park. And it's on the east side of Lake Michigan, and straight across on the other side is Chicago. And it's really cool because if you go to the beach in Indiana Dunes on a clear day, you can actually see Chicago across the lake. And we got to do that. That was neat.
That was funny. McKenna was, my daughter took a trip this summer and she was straight across in Chicago.
Straight across the lake from us.
When y'all were there at the same time. It's funny.
There was a lot of things that we weren't able to do, a lot of places that we weren't able to go because we had PJ with us. And there's only certain places on the beach where you can take a dog. And so when we went to the Indiana Dunes, we had to sit in the parking lot. We had a little picnic in the parking lot, and we're able to get PJ out there. But as far as walking on the beach in Indiana, we couldn't do that because,
see, that's a bunch of crap.
I know. And that's exactly why they don't want you walking the dogs on the beach, I guess.
Beaches, the beaches in Florida are that way too. There's only a few of them that you can take your dogs on.
Yeah. So that kind of threw a wrench in, a few of our plans, but it was fine. We enjoyed her being there, and she loved it because let me tell you, we got up there around July the 8th, I think is when we arrived up there. It was 70 degrees during the day when it was 100 down here. It was very comfortable. We were in T-shirts and shorts every day. Sometimes in the evenings we had fleece on when we walked down to the beach because it got a little chilly in the evenings. And I told G, I said, this is heaven. This is heaven. July here is so nice. PJ loved it. It wasn't hot. And she was able to run around without getting winded and stuff like that.
And without having to go from water puddle to water puddle.
Yeah, exactly. And, most of the time, for the last several years, I've had it in my mind that in order to escape the heat in Arkansas, you had to go west and go to higher elevations. But it wasn't until last year when I went to Minnesota, I got it in my head. Well, if you go north, the temperature goes down too. You don't have to go to higher elevations. I think the highest elevation that we got to was it was less than 2,000 feet, maybe 3,000 feet. I don't know. It wasn't very much at all. But the temperatures were just so much better. The days were so long. The sun didn't go down to almost 10:30 or 11 at night. And so you had lots of time to do whatever you wanted to do. And that was really cool. There were Amish stores everywhere. So we got to go to a lot
Did you
of
buy
the
some
Amish
Amish
stores.
cheese?
We got to get a lot of cheese.
Yeah.
A lot of homemade stuff, homemade bread. Oh my gosh, the bread was incredible. Blueberries are a big thing up there. They had a blueberry store. They had blueberry everything you could think of: blueberry coffee, blueberry mustard.
Blueberry coffee?
Blueberry
Wait,
coffee.
mustard?
Yep.
What?
Yeah, we got
You're
some of both
blowing
of
my
that.
mind.
Yeah, we got blueberry coffee is really good. I got to eat some perch. Is the main fish that's caught in Lake Michigan. And if you go to any of the restaurants up there, you can get perch. It's really good. It's some of the best fish you'll ever eat. It's probably comparable to crappie down here. It's really good. Really clean white fish. So we got to get some of that local foods. Where that's kind of my thing. I like getting some local food. So that was good.
Did you find any chicharrones up there?
No.
It's not chicharrones country.
No, you gotta go to New Mexico. We were a long way from New Mexico. But yeah, I like the local foods. And we stopped at an Amish store up there that actually had Amish people working in it. It's not like the one in Branson where they have Billy, who's out of school on summer break, working in there. I mean, these were actually Amish women that were working in there, and made one of the best sandwiches I ever had in my life. And had fried pies, and they fried them, brought them out, and I was standing there waiting, and I bought one of every kind. It was perfect timing. So good. Like fresh cow's milk,
I'll have one of those, and I'll have one of those, and one of those.
One of them. It was so stinking good. I think I gained like 11 pounds on this trip. It was
outrageous.
Outrageous. We went on dune rides. So Gia said, "I've got a surprise for you, and I think you're really going to like it." And she said, "We're going on a dune ride." And I thought, okay. In my mind, this is what I had it and pictured in my mind, was us in a dune buggy crawling across, the sand right next to the water. And I thought, it'll be all right. It's not hot. We'll just go out and see some stuff. Well, these guys had taken like an old International Scout, chopped it, lengthened it, and put like 15 seats in it. They had taken, just old cars or old four-wheel drives and chopped them and made these buggies out of them. We sat in the very front seat. So we had to wait, buy tickets, got there, sat in the very front seat. And the guy said, "Hang on to your hat. This is going to be fun." And let me tell you, when he took off, I thought I was going to die. I mean, this thing had a turbocharged Cummins diesel in it, and he had it on the floor the whole time. It was awesome. So fun. If you ever go up there, take the dune ride. I swear. It was cheap. It was only about $30 a person, and we had the best time. So cool. It was really, really neat. But we got to do that. And then we, the adventure started. We went up and went to a state park where Michigan is not really known for trees. And the reason is because when the trappers and people came hundreds of years ago, they cut down all the trees to build everything. But that place is known for some of the tallest, straightest trees in the world. Well, there's a state park right in the center up toward the top that still has some of the old trees. And we were actually able to walk through and see some of the old trees. And that was really neat.
Wow.
And after that, we went straight up across Mackinac Bridge, the famous Mackinac Bridge.
Yeah.
And because of Overlander, we actually found a spot to camp right next to Mackinac Bridge. So we camped on the beach on the north side of Lake Michigan, right there. Mackinac Bridge splits, I believe, Lake Erie or Huron. I can't remember. It's one of the two. And then Lake Michigan's on the left side of it. And we actually stayed on the Lake Michigan side, right on the beach, and I was able to take pictures of Mackinac Bridge in the background. And at night, we were able to look out our tent and see the bridge all lit up at night. It was really, really neat. That was probably one of the highlights for me, being able to stay right there overlooking or looking out that bridge. When the sun went down, the mosquitoes were atrocious. They were horrible. I actually fought mosquitoes all night in the tent. I needed a better plan. I didn't realize that they would be that bad, but they were.
Yeah, it is Lake Huron.
Huron, okay.
Yeah.
And then the next morning, we get up, we go to the grocery store, buy a few things, restock on a few things, and there was a fresh fish market that was there, and we got to get some. Gio will have to help me on this. I think it was whitefish is the big thing up there, and they make a dip out of it. And when you tell me about fish and it's like a dip, because when I think of dip, I think of either bean dip or cheese dip. And if it's made out of fish, that don't sound appealing to me at all. But she said, "Oh, this is so good. We got to go get some." So we went and got some. We got some smoked whitefish, and some smoked salmon, I think they had there. But we stocked up on some local food, just like we always do. And then we started heading west across the bottom of Lake Michigan. And then we cut north all the way through the middle of the UP and ended up at Picture Rocks. Picture Rocks. If you look up Picture Rocks on Lake Superior, it shows some of the really cool caves that you could paddle in. They do boating tours through there. It's a national park. So we were able to go and see some of that, some of the cliffs that overlook there. We got to take a picnic right there on Lake Superior. Biggest lake in North America. It looks like the ocean, but their claim to fame and what my shirt says is no salt, no sharks, no worries. So it's just like the ocean, but it don't have salt or sharks. So anyway, it's really cool. The temperatures were great. It was in the upper 60s, lower 70s every day, but the water in the lake was the same temperature as it was outside. It wasn't like it was real cold if you get in it. So it wasn't bad at all. And we drove a little bit of ways just west of Pictured Rocks, and we were able to camp right on the water. It wasn't 50 yards off the highway, but it was just a little place inside the Superior National Forest, and we backed up right to the water and found that on Overlander as well. And so that was a treat. That was probably one of my favorite places that we stayed. We popped the tent up, and we looked at each other and we said, we can stay a couple nights here. This is nice.
Yeah.
We got out the paddle boards, inflated our paddle boards, went paddleboarding out on Lake Superior. It was so clear. You could probably see maybe 20 feet down. And it was just so nice. The waves weren't bad. It was real calm. It was mild. We put out some things for the mosquitoes because they are pretty bad up there. The black flies and mosquitoes are pretty bad. So we put out some stuff, and I'd read, and this is a little tip here for you. If you go up north and the black flies are bad, you can cut up some Irish Spring soap and put it in a dish and set it out, and the flies won't come near you. You can actually take a little handful of it and rub it on your skin, or you can bathe with it. I even took a handful of it and wiped it on PJ, and the flies stayed away from her.
Wow.
So we just sat on the beach there. I got out the MadCon grill, and we had a fire right on the beach. It was just so nice. It was serene how beautiful it was. There was a lady that came in a van and stayed next to us that first night. And but I mean, she was 50 feet away from us. She didn't bother us. But it was just her and her dog. There was a lot of people out there looking for rocks, and this was one of the things that I wish I had researched a little bit before we went up there. But on Lake Superior, the Yooper people, the Yoopers, they go out with black lights looking for rocks, and there's rocks that come up on the shore in Lake Superior that glow. They glow like fire red when you put a black light on them.
See, I've seen those on is it on TikTok or maybe Instagram? You see the reels and you just see somebody, it's like almost broad daylight, but they'll shine the light across it, and then all of a sudden there's this rock. You think it's black, but when the light hits it,
it looks like glowing lava.
Yes.
I never seen anything like it. And we kept asking them, what are you looking for? And I can't remember what the name of the rock is, what kind of rocks they were looking for, but there were people, along the coastline all day, just looking for rocks, picking up rocks, whatever. And then there was people with their lights that were out there looking for them. And I wish I had known so I could have taken something, because those are really neat. It's just something special that you can bring back from there.
Yeah.
But we ended up having to move. That was one of the few times that we actually had an issue with where we were staying. A guy showed up with a boat and said that we were camped on a tribal boat launch. There were no signs anywhere, and it was just his word saying that we were camped on a tribal boat launch. He said, "You can't camp here." I said, "Well," I said, "there's a lot of people that stayed here. There's quite a few people that had commented on our Overlander, said that they had stayed there. It was great. It was open, blah, blah, blah." And, so I really didn't know what to do. I was kind of put in a pickle about what to do. And, I have a huge respect for our Native Americans and, all this, but there were 20 boat ramps around there. And I said, "Why can't you use another boat ramp? Why do you have to launch here?" It wasn't even a boat ramp. It was just a place where you could get down to the sand. And so anyway, we had a discussion. He ended up leaving. The next morning we get up, we're having breakfast, sitting on the beach. And there's a guy from the Forest Service walks up to us, and he said, "Did y'all stay here last night?" And I said, "Yes, sir." He said, "Well, I'm putting a sign up out here right now that says no camping. And I just wanted you to know, if you were planning on staying here tonight, you can't camp here." And I said, "Okay, that's fine." There wasn't a sign when we got here. Other people have camped here before. And so anyway, it was a little bit later that morning, the guy with the boat showed back up. I said, "Sure, if you want to put your boat in, I'll move." And so we moved, and he was able to put his boat in. And he was very thankful, very nice. I apologize, if I'd caused him any inconvenience or whatever. But I called the Forestry Service, and I asked them. I told them where I was camping. I told them there was a guy trying to put his boat in that said this was a tribal boat launch. I said, "There's no signs up anywhere." And she said, "Yes, he's right. That is a tribal boat launch, and we have to respect the Native Americans and, their tribal fishing areas." And I said, "You could solve this problem if you had put some signs up. If you would say no camping here or tribal boat launch or anything." I said, "First of all, you would help him out and the other Native Americans by having to deal with people like me. How am I supposed to just take his word for it?"
Yeah.
Just do the people a favor and put a sign up. And she said, "Well, we just hadn't done that." I was like, "Well, I just don't get it. How am I supposed to know? It's, my word against his. My word is, I looked on ILO Overlander. People have stayed here before. There's no sign up that says you can't camp here, and it's in the national forest. So how am I supposed to know that?"
Yeah.
And she said, "I don't know." So they weren't any help at all, but I gave them a piece of my mind anyway. But anyway, we packed up, we left. That was one of the few nights. That was actually the only night we had to stay in a hotel. We had to find a place to go. We found a little hotel and went down. The hotels were full because it was said that there was going to be the the Northern Lights were going to come in that night, and people were flooded up there to see them. It ended up being cloudy, so you couldn't see jack.
Oh no!
And it rained, but we ended up getting a hotel, which was fine. We got to take a shower, sleep in a real bed and all that garbage. But then we started heading west, got into Wisconsin, got to go to a really cool cheese store. I surprised Gia. I looked up on my map while she wasn't looking and found a really cool cheese store out in the middle of nowhere. And we pull up at this cheese store and we bought all kinds of cheese. And these ladies that were in there were so nice. They were cutting cheese and they were like, "Hey, you want to try this? You want to try that? You want to try this?" And we tried everything.
Yeah, I'm sure.
It was so good.
There's no way you said, "No, I don't want to try that."
No, I tried it all.
No.
Ended up buying some elk bacon. I never had elk bacon before.
Dude, that looked so good. When you posted that picture of it, I was like, "Really, elk bacon? Come on!"
It was so good. It was actually ground and cured. It was a lot like I don't know what it was like.
It almost looked like the way some companies do jerky, where it's ground.
Yeah, it was ground and then it was pressed and then it was dried. But we cooked it up. Oh my gosh, it was so good. So there we go again. Local food.
Is it lean? Pretty lean then?
Very lean. And it didn't take very long to cook, and it was so good. And I wish I had bought all of it that they had.
All of the elk bacon.
Because, where do you get that? You can't get that anywhere. But that was cool. Going down into Wisconsin, finding a cheese.
Corsies, if you're listening, bring in some elk bacon.
Corsies. We need some elk bacon. And then we didn't have a place to stay again. So I got on Hip Camp, and I found a place that was right on a cliff on Lake Superior, and it was like in the middle of a field of wildflowers. So stinking cool. It was so stinking cool. We just pulled up there. We were about 10 feet from the edge. We sat there. I cooked. We just enjoyed it. Man, some of the best views out of a tent that you can imagine.
Mm-hmm.
No, it wasn't 14,000 foot mountains, like I have been going to the past several years. But when you can camp right on something that looks like the ocean on a cliff in the middle of wildflowers, that's cool.
That was amazing.
We really, really enjoyed that place. It was so nice, so cool. And from there, we went on up into Ely, Minnesota, where we stayed at a cabin that our friends own up there that I went to last year. We were able to fish. We went to hike to a waterfall. They had a four-wheeler. We got to ride the four-wheeler. The first day that we were there, July 16th, maybe 17th, 52 degrees. 52 degrees. That was the high that day. We were tired.
I think it was 50 degrees cooler there than it was here.
We were kind of tired from driving. So we just built a fire and sat in the recliners and read our Kindles and played on our phones and just rested. It was so nice. You hear the loons out there in the evenings, and we're right on the lake, actually the river, Cowisha River, and just had the best time, just relaxing. We stayed there 5 days, I think.
Yeah.
Got to go into town, got to eat some more local food. And on the way there, we actually stopped at a pasty place. It was so-and-so's pasty house. And we were there in the morning. We got them right when they cooked them. We drove to a little city park and we had a picnic with our pasties, and they were so good. So there's a big difference. If you go up into the UP, and there's pasty houses everywhere, a little, here and there, but stop and get one that's fresh, and they're so good. They make some for breakfast, and then they have some that have ground beef and potatoes and stuff. So good, so stinking good. And another thing that I learned, if you go into the UP, never make reservations anywhere, because this place was settled hundreds of years ago, and the little mom and pop hotel motels are still there, and they're everywhere. And every 10 miles, there's a place to stay. There are so
Oh,
many
wow.
state forests and national forests up there. You can camp anywhere. There's so many places to stay. And so if you need a shower, you need a bath, you need to wash clothes or whatever, just drive 20 minutes and you're going to come up on one of these little mom and pop hotel motels, and they're nice and they're
Yeah.
cheap, about $80 a night, and you can stay there. And you walk into these rooms and it's like grandma crocheted a quilt, and that's what's on the bed. I mean, just the coolest little places that you've ever seen. They're so stinking nice, and they're everywhere. And there's state forests everywhere up there. There's little places in the state forest that have places where you can camp, that have bathrooms, showers, places
Yeah.
like that, about $22 a night. They're not bad at all. But I would highly, highly recommend, if you need a break from the mountains, if you need somewhere to go, man, the UP, gosh. And we didn't even get to go up into Mackinac, not Mackinac, but up on the Keweenaw Peninsula, where they have the retreat every fall. We didn't go up there because from where we were camped on Lake Superior, it was just as far to the tip of the peninsula as it was to go all the way around where we were staying in Ely. It was going to double the miles of our
Oh,
trip.
wow.
So we're going to go back because there's a national park that you can only get to by boat that's just off that peninsula. And so we're going to go back up there, and on that national park that you get to by boat, it's like a 4-day backpacking trip around the island. And so we're going to go back up there and do it all at one time, and do all that. Chuck Ball says, "Are we live? Hello, hello." Yes, we are live, Chuck, and you are on the air. Gen Xer says, been so miserably hot here. This sounds fantastic. I can't
Yeah,
tell
I
you
know.
how amazing the weather was up there. It rained on us maybe 3 days out of 3 weeks. And it wasn't heavy rain. It was a light rain. It was actually really enjoyable. Um, the wind wasn't as bad as what I thought it would be. When you're on a big lake like that, you think big waves, the wind's going to be awful. Let me tell you, both times that we camped on Lake Superior, the lake was like glass. You can go on my um, on my
On your
Instagram account
Instagram, right? Yeah.
and look at us paddling out there. It was like glass. You could go all the way out to the buoys, which was maybe a quarter mile, standing up on a paddleboard. It was incredible. And it
Wow.
was so clear, so clean. Uh, I just absolutely loved it. But the weather was so nice. So we went around while we were up in Minnesota. We were able to go to 2 national parks that were right on the Canadian border. And one of them, it was okay. But the one that, if my wife will get on here and tell me which one it is, I can't remember which one that was up there in the northeast corner. But the highway to get up there followed Lake Superior almost the whole way, and it was beautiful. Um,
Are you talking about the Keweenaw Peninsula?
no, I'm talking about in Minnesota. So you're going all the way around the other side. Um,
Thunder Bay.
No, it's all the way at the top, up by Canada. It's like entry point or entryway or something like that.
Wheeler's Point. Here, let me look on.
I can't remember what it was, but it was so neat because it is the place where the trappers from the West would come to this place, and then all the people from England and up in Maine, New York, they would come all the way from the east with boats, and that's where they would trade with the Indians, with the trappers. They would have a big festival, and they had like some 70-foot homemade canoes that you could see there, and it showed all the bundles where they carried the furs and different things like that. It was so neat.
Yeah,
It
I'm drawing a blank. I remember the picture of that one canoe that you showed was like
was incredible.
17 feet long or 20 feet long or something.
It was 70, almost 70 feet long.
Oh, 70. Yeah, 70 feet long.
Yeah, I'm gonna have to look on my pictures and see
Lake
if I
of the
can.
Woods State Forest.
I'm gonna have to
And
look
it's in the Minnesota side.
Voyagers National Park. That's what it was. So Voyagers National Park. Nope, that's not it. That's not it. That's not it. It was
Boundary Waters Canoe
Grand
Area.
Portage. Grand Portage
there it is.
National
Okay.
Park. National Monument National Park. They had a complete village that they had built showing you where they came, where they cooked. It was so beautiful. Voyagers National Park. That was one of the highlights. I tell you, it was so stinking neat to see the history of it.
Grand Portage. Yeah.
And then we spent a few days in town, came back, and then we came back, started our journey home down through Minnesota, went through St. Paul, saw the cathedral. I'd never seen the cathedral before. So that was pretty cool. Went over into Oklahoma and Kansas, went to another national park, and then came back down and spent the night at her mom's house. We hadn't seen them since the wedding. So 13 states, 3,800 miles was our honeymoon, and it was so fun. So incredible.
That's incredible.
Loved it. Absolutely loved it. So that's where I've been. It was a really fun trip. I was kind of glad to get home, but man, let me tell you, it was so funny when we got to St. Paul and I got out of the FJ there at the cathedral, and I said, goodness gracious, it's hot. Where did all this heat come from? And I looked on my phone, it was 84 degrees. And I said, 84 degrees, we're going to die when we get home. Because I had been seeing what it was back in Arkansas and how hot it had been here. So, my goodness.
It was nuts.
It was nuts.
Last week was absolutely nuts.
It just makes it where you don't want to go outside.
Yeah.
So anyway, if you want to go, you want to travel, make sure UP, northern Minnesota, up around the Boundary Waters, is on your list. It's all national forest. We went out while we were in Minnesota. I got on my Garmin, my Gaia Maps, Onyx, Off-Road, all this stuff. I had it all pulled up at the same time. But we found some forest roads, found some hidden lakes. And if you have an inflatable kayak, inflatable paddleboard, you can catch so many fish. It's ridiculous. It's so fun, so remote. You'll never see another person. There's not hardly anybody there.
Yeah.
It was so nice. The traffic was non-existent because there was nobody there. You go out to Silverton, and you're going to be fighting traffic, not only on the highways, but on the passes.
Yeah.
And it was so nice to just be able to go out there and just enjoy, just being out there and being out in the middle of nowhere and enjoying it, just like the good old days. So anyway, but that's where I've been. It was a good trip. It was a good trip. And I hope to get Gia on here and have her tell a little bit of perspective about going on a trip like this for the first time. She's just been all over the world. She has been on backpacking trips and, trips all over the world. She's been on overlanding trips with me down in Texas, and we went to Santa Fe. But this was the first time that we didn't have a place where we knew we were going to stay, and we just had to find a place and coming up with places to take showers and baths. And I got out that geyser shower right there on the cliff overlooking Lake Superior and took a shower. And it was one of the coolest experiences. I just had the best time just being out there, just naked on the cliff overlooking the lake. It was so fun. But anyway, it was good. But put this on your list. You need to go to
I'm gonna have to.
It's so cool.
I really enjoyed.
And we didn't even see it all.
Yeah, I really enjoyed the past 2 summers. Your trip up there and listening to all everything you do. The fishing. I really like the fishing stories.
I caught the biggest smallmouth I ever caught in my life. The first time we went out in the canoe, we paddled around the lake and I was just throwing my bait out. I fished with one bait the whole time, and I bet I caught 50 fish in 3 days.
Wow.
But I got 2, maybe 3 up to the boat that got off. They were so big and I didn't have a net. And those pike have teeth like crazy and they will tear you to pieces. Yeah. And I got them up to the boat and I was like, what am I going to do with this if I catch it? I didn't know what I was going to do. And they got up to the boat and they spit it out. And I was like, daggone. But I was really kind of glad because I don't know what I'm going to do with this fish.
Yeah, you got to have pliers or something to get those out if they're stuck.
Yeah, the grabbers. I didn't have no grabbers. I didn't have a net. I just was not prepared. I was just out there having a big time. But yeah, put this on your to-do list because you will love it. And it's totally different than any place you've ever been if you've never been there. But I want to go up to the Keweenaw Peninsula and then go up to that national park and backpack around. And that's going to be that's on our list. We're definitely going to do that. But next week, Tony and I leave on Wednesday. We're going to Kentucky for the Go Explorer, doing the Kentucky Adventure Tour Trail. What's it, trail or tour?
Trail. Kentucky Adventure Trail. Yeah.
Going to meet Brad and Danielle and Matt and Carrie and all them out there and take a group on that. He's doing all the videography, photography, and Danielle and I are doing all the cooking. So it's going to be fun times. We'll probably
just going
come
for
back.
The food.
Just going for the food. We'll probably come back a week from tonight on Tuesday and talk about it, where we're going, what we're going to be doing. I imagine that's going to be a pretty hot topic for us because we'll be leaving the very next day. So I've got to spend this weekend getting my vehicle ready, getting my trailer ready, and getting ready to go on the Cat with Go Explore.
Lots of preparations.
It's going to be fun. Yeah. Well, thank you all for joining us. It's been good to be back.
So good to catch up with you, buddy.
Yeah, definitely. It's been a long time since we sat at these microphones together and done some stuff. We have been everywhere. We've been camping. We've been hanging out at your house. We've been underneath my FJ at your house. And we've been at Okie Overland. We've been everywhere but here. And it's good to be back. And I thank everybody for joining us. I hope you have a wonderful week. And I hope you got something out of tonight because I sure did. It was good to be back. Love you all. Have a wonderful week. Look out for number 1 and don't step in number 2. We'll see you. To be looking on the Gaia maps.
Yeah.
GAIA maps.
Yeah.
You would notice that we are a heck of a long ways from where we started and from where we're going.